Oh, now that is a heavy case. When Antec recently reached out to us to ask if we would take a look at one of their cases, I didn't really know what to expect. I just said, yeah, sure, send one along, and I didn't expect this. This is the Antec Performance 1 FT, and it is their flagship case. We don't tend to look at premium cases on the channel, we tend to really look at the budget stuff, but I'm really glad that I actually accepted this because the thing is absolutely amazing. I generally use myself premium cases from Fractal Design or NZXT, so I don't have that much experience when it comes to things like this, but this thing is absolutely loaded full of features. Before we jump straight into some of the more unique things that this case offers, let's go through some of the general specifications. There is no doubt about it, this case is big. Standing at 522mm tall, 522mm deep, and 230mm wide, this full tower case can house an array of motherboard sizes including ITX, Micro ATX, ATX, and eATX. It is also quite heavy, coming in at a net weight of 12.66 kilograms and a gross weight of a whopping 14.85 kilograms. You will definitely need to make sure your desk is strong enough to hold it. In terms of expansion slots for storage drives, the Antec's Performance 1 FT can house up to 2 3.5-inch drives and 5 2.5-inch drives in various easy to access locations. Its extreme size means that there are no issues with cooling installations, allowing up to 3 140mm fans in the front, 3 140mm fans in the top, 3 120mm fans on the PSU shroud, and 1 120mm fan in the rear. Radiator support is also plentiful, allowing up to a 420mm radiator to be installed in the front, a maximum of a 360mm radiator in the top, and also a 120mm radiator in the rear. When it comes to the clearances of other components, the Performance 1 FT has space for a graphics card for up to 400mm, a maximum CPU cooler height of 175mm, and with the hard drive caddy in the basement removed, up to a 440mm power supply. Now with the boring bit over, let's actually take a look around this case. I actually love the front of this case. I think it looks amazing. It is a full ventilated panel all the way up, and it comes with these nice little vent lines that are in a slightly darker silver. I think it gives it a premium look, all while still looking a little bit mean and gamery. And then it's actually super easy to remove. You can just simply remove the panel by just giving it a little pull on this little handle, and it will just drop straight out. This panel, as you can see, does have the mesh on the back, and it is a metal mesh, not a plastic one, and it can be easily removed by removing all of these little screws, so you can give it a good clean. This panel isn't actually clipped in, you just simply locate it into the bottom, and then it uses magnets to actually hold itself in place. I haven't actually had this fall out, and I've kind of lugged this case around, so those magnets are pretty strong, so I don't think you're going to get any issues there. But also while you're there, when you do have this panel removed, of course you can see where your fan system's going to go. In here there are 3 140mm fans, and you can access all of the screws and things without even removing this shroud, so that really does give you a bit of easier access when it comes to installing coolers. This case isn't the easiest to move around due to its weight, but as we can see from the top here, we do have a full ventilated panel across here. You can fit up to a 360mm radiator in the top, and then we have all the I/O connections just inside of the case here. They're not actually on the front. It does come with a power button, a reset switch, it comes with a mixed audio and mic, 2 USB 3s, a USB-C, and then there is a little button here that actually says temp on it. That temp button there will actually change an LCD panel, which is just located in the front here to show you the different temps of things. It is a shame that this is actually on the top. If your PC is on the floor, of course, you're going to be able to see it, but if it's actually on the side, you're not going to be able to see it at all. To remove the top, to be able to install things, you just simply click from the back, and then it just comes forward. It is held in by lots of little things like the little rubber grommets that they've installed into all of the front I/O. That is another cool feature, to be honest, that they've included all them because it stops any dust getting into those ports. But once you've actually clicked it forward, you just pop it off just like this, and then you can see it's a full metal kind of shroud with another dust filter just on the inside here. We can just remove that there. That is a magnetic strip. It is a metal one, so it's actually decent quality. And as you can see, you've got this whole piece here where you can install your fans or your radiators. This panel itself as well does come out. You just pop a couple of screws off, you can remove that panel out, fit all the cooling that you want, and then install it back into the system. That makes it really, really useful if you're installing things like all-in-one coolers, particularly if you want them mounted to the motherboard first, because it means you can install it all outside the case and then just drop it in, pop a couple of screws in, and everything is done. Now, just like the top, the bottom does also come with a dust filter, but that's accessible by the front here. by just popping your hand underneath and sliding it out. It is a full length sliding dust filter that actually covers the complete bottom of the system, just like you get in the Fractal design cases, and it's easy to remove as long as there's nothing in front of your case. So you could quickly just give it a clean out and just reinstall it back in again. That will cover your power supply plus any additional fans that you've got fitted into the bottom of the case. One of the most interesting features of this case is actually its glass panels. There are actually two on this case. There is one at the front here where you would normally see your components, and there is also one on the back. If we just remove this one, which is simply done by a single thumb screw and a little clip there, you can see that you can just lean it forward and lift it out. Inside the case, there is enough space for anything that you could need. It will take up to an E80X board, plenty of fans in the top, plenty of fans in the front, and also up to 3 120mm fans just on the bottom plate here. And there is a pretty decent gap above your power supply so that it can draw air up and provide it to something like a graphics card. They have actually thought of cooling in this case. It is absolutely jam-packed with areas and locations that you can fit things. So even if you wanted to do something like water cooling in this, there is plenty of space to be able to do that. When it comes to cable management, they've provided plenty of holes for you to actually draw your cables through, and they all have this rubber grommeting, so we're not going to damage any of the cables. I'm actually going to really enjoy actually building into this because of all those extra features they've included. We've got holes at the top, we've got holes down the side here, we've got holes in the bottom. It's actually going to make cable management a little bit of a dream, so I'm actually looking forward to that. Now, I would say that the rear is nothing special, but then is it ever really special on a case? We have the standard layout that you would find on many different cases. We have up to 7 PCIe slots there. We have a place for your IO shield here. It is actually inset, so all of the screws are actually removable from the inside. I do like that kind of feature on cases. It really is kind of like a telltale sign of a premium case. The PCIe kind of covers here as well. When you remove them, there are no additional bars across. So if you wanted to add a vertical mount in here that actually hugs up to the back of the case, you can do. It will fit perfectly fine. And then where you actually install your PSU at the bottom here, it does come on a separate plate that you can remove just with 2 thumb screws. Mount that to your power supply and then just slide the whole unit in. So again, they've thought of a nice little premium feature there, which actually kind of goes in touch with the whole case. The most interesting part of the case though, I find, is actually in the back panel. As I said before, you do get a glass back panel. I don't understand why, because you can't actually see anything here unless you've actually got a couple of hard drives with LEDs on them. You can buy RGB hard drives, but I don't think many people do, and there's not many brands that do it. But to be able to remove this glass panel, you simply just undo the single thumb screw, just like the other side, pull the little clip and slide the panel up. It is pretty much identical to the other side, so it's very easy to be able to install this. Underneath that panel though, you do get some nice little features. We do have some covering here, which actually covers the basement of the case, or at least all of the cable management that you're going to be able to put there. And then we also have a panel that runs up the side here to be able to get extra cables in that you can hide away. Now, up to now, this case has been fully toolless. You can actually remove everything that you want without actually touching a screwdriver until you come to this panel here. They do provide a thumb screw at the top there just to loosen it off, but there are 2 screws here and here that you need to be able to undo to be able to separate the panels. Once you've separated them panels, you actually need to just lift this up and it will actually slide just up and then out of the bracket on the other side. So that's one panel there that's actually going to cover all of the cable in here. And as you can see, they've already pre-mounted or pre-run all of the cabling from the front IO all the way down and back up again. So you can see that we've got some nice little Velcro tabs here. We've got some guidelines for your cabling. And then to remove the bottom one, we simply just lift it up the same and we remove that too. It is a shame that they included those 2 screws there. They could have done something else. I'm pretty sure they could have done, and it would have made the whole case pretty much toolless, but it's there and it's there for a reason. So make sure you've got a screwdriver if you are going to be installing in this case. As you can see from the basement here, this is where your power supply is going to go. And if you do remove this little front caddy here for hard drives, not many people use hard drives anymore, particularly people that are buying cases like this, you can fit up to a power supply that is 440mm long. That's pretty much going to suit every power supply on the market. And the case is double width as well, so you can get away with those Corsair shift ones where the connections come out of the side. It will also fit in here too. When it comes to mounting your storage devices, they provide plenty of space for that. Most of it is in the back here. We do have the little caddy down here where you can install your 3.5-inch drives, one in that kind of tray there and one on the top. But then they also provide these 3 little kind of shuttle bays that you can unscrew with a thumb screw and lift out. You can put your 2.5-inch drives on there, and then they simply just drop back in and screw it in just like that. Now the way that this back panel is designed makes this case actually quite unique. I've not really seen one like this. My Fractal Meshify 2 that I use in my personal gaming rig does have a very similar system when it comes to kind of covering up cables, but they're all actually plastic and they actually just clip in. They're not too bad and they do hide things, but there's probably no reason to do that either because that one doesn't have a glass panel. But at least on this one they've installed some nice metal kind of framing, so at least when there is some lighting in the back, if you do install some, I'm sure you could if you wanted to, you are going to see some nice clean designs, and hopefully if you do install something like SSDs with LEDs on them, you're going to see them quite nicely through the glass without all the cable mess. Now if you are a big fan of Antec or a fan of large cases, this one is going to be for you. It pretty much has all of the features that you need plus anything else. When I did a bit of searching here in the UK to see how much this case actually goes for, I found a number of different prices. On Amazon you could find them for up to nearly £300. I don't know if it's actually worth £300, but it's kind of touching on that kind of level of quality, particularly with the way that the case has been designed and built. But if you do look at other stores, you can find them for around £150. Now for £150, I think this is an absolute bargain. It is way cheaper than I paid for my Fractal Meshify 2, and yet this case is reasonably the same size. It's just not kind of as deep, it's just taller, and I think it's definitely worth that kind of money for this. If you are a regular follower of the channel, you'll know that I love clean systems, even when it comes to the cable management in the back, and this one offers so much kind of space there that I cannot wait to build into it. I do have a build plan for this case. I'm going to go with something a little bit different, so make sure you subscribe to the channel if you want to catch that. I'm sure you guys will want to because it's going to be a little bit different to what we normally build. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the Antec Performance 1 FT. Have you got one of these cases or have you looked at them in the past? What do you think? Does it offer enough to actually warrant the price of around £150? I'm going to go away and start planning the build in this system now, and I'm sure as always I will catch you guys in the next one.